Hello everyone, my name is Krunal Shukla and my partners' names are Mason Williams and Paige Nicholson. Our presentation discusses the current state of death panels and the proposed rule that permits the government to reimburse doctors for talking to patients about how they want to live their final days.
Soon after her vice presidential candidacy, Sarah Palin coined the term death panel to describe the Affordable Care Act's proposal of the Independent Payment Advisory Board. The IPAB's purpose was to evaluate and adjust the payment rates, premiums, and qualification guidelines for Medicare. Although Palin's term, death panel, was harsh, it brought light to the way the board would affect beneficiaries. It ultimately decides on which groups of patients Medicare money is best spent.
The Individual Payment Advisory Board was a group of 15 executives that decided where and to whom finances were allocated. The board's authorization during Obama's presidency was unfavored. Despite approval, the IPAB was never operational. It received such heavy criticism and was such a lofty task to implement that it was left unfinished when Trump took office. The IPAB was repealed in 2018 under President Trump.
In 2009, a congressman from Iowa proposed an addition to the ACA. He suggested Medicare pay for patients' end-of-life discussions with doctors. Republicans in Congress quickly shot down the idea and said that this would fundamentally be government-sponsored euthanasia. Though the idea was retired, it re-emerged several years ago.
In 2015, the Center of Medicare and Medicaid Services proposed a rule to permit the government to reimburse doctors for talking to patients about their end-of-life options. However, debate over this rule is directly related to discussions on death panels during the 2008 elections. Under this rule, the doctors can get reimbursed for spending time with their patients, discussing how they would like to spend their final days. Physicians explain the option for palliative care and hospice, or the option to be mechanically kept alive using hospital equipment such as ventilators and breathing tubes. The planning process is meant to be patient-centered and revolves around the patient's desires, not the physician's orders.
Advanced care planning is an umbrella term for the process of discussion through which patients decide how they would like to be treated in their final days. This process involves creating living wills and other advanced directives such as do not resuscitate orders, as well as making decisions about hospice and palliative care. Advanced care planning can reduce unnecessary suffering and improve quality of life.
California, New York, and Florida have all been the leaders in Medicare payment for end-of-life talks. Under these states' policies, Medicare will pay roughly $86 for the first half-hour office visit and $75 for each additional visit regarding their final days and advanced directives. There are no rulings regarding what specific topics the visits must discuss, as long as the general topic is end-of-life care. Physicians, PAs, and nurse practitioners can all bill for this service.
Physicians nervously approach the emergence of more frequent end-of-life talks. They point out that their training does not explicitly include direction on how to carry out these talks, and they often are unsure of how to advise patients from an empathetic standpoint instead of a strictly medical standpoint.
Controversy will continue to arise in relation to end-of-life talks. Politicians and citizens bring up questions about what the government's rulings imply it is actually supporting. A common point of concern is the possibility that Medicare may not pay for an expensive treatment option for a patient, but will readily pay for the office visit to discuss end-of-life care. The government paying for talks about advanced directives and potentially denying payment for expensive treatment makes them seem apathetic towards the lives of individuals and as if they are only focused on controlling costs.
Discussion questions. Question number 1. With the rising cost of Medicare spending and the aging population, how can the advanced care planning reimbursement system be designed to control cost while maintaining quality of the services as well as patient access? Question number 2. Since advanced care planning should be individualized for each person, how can the current medical school curriculum be restructured to include guidance on carrying out end-of-life planning talks without making physicians seem too systematic or burdened by the task?